Welcome to The Change, a podcast about the changes in life that shake, break, and make us. I'm Laura, a 45-year-old writer, podcaster, and mum who has until recently always loved change.
And I'm Cathy, a 53-year-old writer, podcaster, and mum, and change is actually my kryptonite. We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia on which this podcast is recorded and recognise the continuing connections to lands, waters and communities.
We pay our respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures and elders past and present.
Hey, Laura, how are you going?
I'm good, Cathy. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Good.
But I am really excited because I know who today's guest is. So can you tell us who it is?
I certainly can. It is the fantastic Sarah MacDonald. She's the former presenter for the mornings program on ABC Radio Sydney. She grew up in Sydney. She studied psychology at university. She did a lot of travel. And also, I think most of us will remember Sarah from her stint as Triple J's political correspondent. And then she was the Triple J morning show host, which is incredible. Yeah, what a feat. And
she was also on the evening show on the ABC. So for anyone who, that's a statewide show. So anyone who travelled at night time would have listened to Sarah on that.
Yeah, she's a cultural icon. She's amazing. She also, did Race Around the World. She wrote an international bestseller called Holy Cow about her experiences living in India, which I devoured just before I went to India. She's written for numerous publications. She co-presents the Full Catastrophe Storytelling event. She's got a podcast. She's just done heaps. She's an amazing woman. Let's welcome Sarah MacDonald. Sarah, welcome to The Change. It's so lovely to have you and see your face on screen.
Well, thank you for having me.
And I feel like I'm talking to an old friend because I've been listening to you for my entire life when you're on Triple J and ABC nights and evenings and mornings and all the things.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's very intimate radio, so people do feel they know you, which is funny when they come up to you and just start chatting like, hello. It's like, hi. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
That's it. It is. And I just wanted to start actually by going back as we're talking about your career in radio and your book, Holy Cow, came out in 2002. And I remember reading it before I went to India with my husband back in 2008. And I was wondering, is there anything that you wrote about at that time that you kind of still live by now? Any lessons that you learned back then that still resonate with you today?
I learned so much. In India. And a lot of it was just about letting go and giving into fate. And I know it's not something in our society we say a lot about. And it's not kind of cool to be a bit fatalistic. And of course I'm not. I don't just give everything away to, chance. But it taught me to let go of a lot of things that we like to live by and to feel that we're in control in our society. So I still go back. I think it changed my framework in the way of looking at the world in terms of realizing how lucky and privileged I was and where I came from, the time I was living in, the life I had led so far. I try not to take all those things for granted. And I think it fundamentally changed me in that way. But of course, you have to relearn a lot of lessons in life. And I think that I want to go back to India this year. I really want to go back. It's changed so much. I mean, I did predict in Holy Cow it would become the kind of leader of the free world, that the race was going to be between China and India. And I was backing India for its sheer, rambunctious, crazy, amazing, passionate people that had free range, hopefully, of their intelligence and their individuality. And I think that a lot of that's come to pass. It's a big global power now. And I think a lot of Indians are very proud of that, as they should be. But I've changed a lot too. So I'm hoping to go back at the end of the year or early next year.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And I imagine booking a trip at the moment is, challenging for you because you're in Sydney and you are caring for mother-in-law and your own mother as well. Obviously, your husband does a lot of the caring for his mum, but Yeah, so trying to work out when you can get back to India is obviously a bit tricky as well.
Yeah, it's really hard because I just feel I can't plan so much in my life. I want to go overseas. I mean, there's a part of me that just wants to travel at the moment. I want to be kind of like that 20-year-old backpacker again. You know, when you're a backpacker and you saw those old women in the hostels and you were like, wow, cool. I want to be that older woman who's working at the hostels and hanging out and traveling and away for a year or two, but that's not going to happen. So, yes, it is hard to plan. I want to try and just go for a couple of weeks to India at the end of the year, but we'll have to see how things go. I did go back to Thailand, where I spent some of my 20s recently. And while I was there, my mum had a fall and hit her head really badly. So, you know, back to life, back to reality, because, yeah, you can never kind of completely relax when you are away anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the challenge when you've got aging parents, right?
Absolutely. That's what it is. That's you can never go too far because you don't know what's around the corner. And then when you do travel, you just are never completely, I don't know, in the moment because you're wondering if they're okay. You know, I still wake up in the middle of the night. My dad died about 10 years ago and we had to sell the family home, and mum's been much safer in a flat until recently. And their roof used to leak. And whenever it pours with rain, still, I wake up in the middle of the night going, oh my God, it's raining. Mum will be getting wet and she'll be really worried. And then I go, no, we've sold the house. But it still sort of like activates that worry and concern that I have. So, yes, little, I'm trying to work out how I can travel in little snatches while also being very aware of carbon emissions and things like that. They don't usually go together. So I'm just trying to work that out now. I'd love to drive around Australia too.
And you've got extra children living with you at the moment, is that right?
Yeah, well, I've got two of my own kids, and then we had two a niece and a nephew moved from America,
Yep.
and they've gone elsewhere, but they keep coming back. So one's coming back this week. So we do have a spare room, and my sister was just here. Another nephew's coming back, then his girlfriend's coming, and then the other relative. So it's actually always being used, which is good. I like a full house. There's no point having a spare bedroom when there are homeless people on the streets, right?
No, very true. Very true.
It's good to use it. But yeah, it's always there's always stuff going down in this house.
So tell us about that at the moment. So you've got two kids and they are young adults. They're working, or one's at uni, one's working, and you've got your mum and your mother-in-law. Tell us about your kind of current situation with work and caring and how that juggle is happening for you.
Yeah, so that's basically it. So my daughter's just got her first full-time job, which is fantastic. And now she's making the joke that she's actually the only proper worker in the household because my husband's just stopped his full-time job to focus on his mum, and he wants to sort of try and go part-time or at least kind of manage this a little bit easier because we're both just being run into the ground. I'm having a year of playing, of just dabbling in lots of different work things and seeing which ones I enjoy the most, which is really great fun. We've got my son's at university, and yes, my mum has just gone into an aged care centre. My husband's mother's just had a hip operation at 93.
Wow.
I believe, a new hip put in, and she's gone home. She's at home in a unit. So there's a lot of cooking involved for her. There's some washing being done. There's lots of doctor's appointments. He's amazing, but that's just got that in a 60-hour week did not compute at all.
Yeah. And what was he doing? Because he
was working in sort of in like a tech company software, but in the kind of partnership side of things.
Yep.
And look, he is a hard worker. There's no doubt about it. It's what he does. But it's just the modern workplace demands this kind of stuff in certain industries. And they do not compute. They do not go together. And we have, now we have much better parental leave, which is fabulous. But we don't have parental leave for the parents.
No.
Carers leave.
Yeah, and I think many years ago when I wrote a piece when I was at Mamma Mia around the sandwich generation, I was writing around the fact that my fax leave, once upon a time, my family and carers leave, was for the kids, right? Like to take them to doctor's appointments or whatever. And now all of a sudden your fax leave is actually to take mum or dad to the doctors, or, to do those things or help them out with whatever it is that they need. Because and I don't think we're good at doing that in society. Like, I don't think we recognize that load that falls on us. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like, they expect us to work like we don't have kids, to parent like we don't have work, that old saying.
Mm.
And I think this goes with aged care as well. I mean, it's worse, in a way, we've made it harder for ourselves by not having jobs where at least you're paid to have carers leave.
Mm.
Because now, if we're sick, I was just sick, didn't get paid. I had more ankle surgery, didn't get paid for that. Don't get paid while I'm taking leave to look after mum. But something had to give,
Mm.
really. And it was getting to the point where it was going to be our health if it kept going for much
Mm.
longer. So I don't know how much longer we can keep doing this juggle, but I've always done this in my life. I've sort of gone in and out of full-time work when it suited me and when it kind of worked for me and when it didn't. And I don't know. I sometimes think back and think, did I work too hard? Did I do too much? And I kind of know there's that whole lazy girl work movement where you just do a job
Mm.
and just turn up and do it and work 9 to 5. And I totally get it. I'm there for it. I do think the next generation, my daughter's generation, are starting to think about this because they've seen their parents
Mm.
of my generation work themselves ragged to the bone and often in thankful tasks. And there's a human rights report that just came out saying now 50 is seen as old in the workplace. Well, look, guys, this does not compute.
No.
Okay. We've had fertility decline, we've got an aging population. If you're going to start getting rid of people in their 50s or not want them in the workplace, it's gonna be crunch time.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to start. There's just so many things we're pretending aren't happening, but we're gonna have to do this a lot better.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, it's fundamental. What you're saying is exactly right. We need to do things better. We need to do things differently for our kids. And we were speaking with Sarah Meganson recently around her, the report that the state of wealth of women, or state of women's wealth, particularly around how most women are so significantly worse off in retirement financially. But the government is starting to recognise, with 26 or 20, I think it's 24 weeks paid parental leave this year, and for the first time paid parental leave is going to come with superannuation payments, which
Yeah.
is phenomenal, because at the other end it gives you choice. Money, I firmly believe money doesn't buy happiness, but what it does give you is choice and options. And having those options when you need them is really important.
Yeah, the super thing is crazy because I took so much time off that I came a long way behind. It's one of the reasons I went back into full-time work to build that up, because women are at a disadvantage. I'm thrilled that women will get it now as part of their parental leave. That is fantastic because, yeah, I don't think money can buy you happiness either, but I think that it can bloody well help if you use it
Yes.
wisely.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm the same as you, Sarah. I had a long time out of the workforce, and my son is 24 this year, and my
Oh,
twins were just 20 in May. So, yeah, so I had a significant chunk of time out of the workforce, and my super is practically non-existent. But fortunately, my husband's super is great. So combined, we're going to be okay. But, I would like to be able to feel like that some of that's mine too, so I get
yeah.
to make
Well,
more
it is.
choices. And
It is.
I mean, I
It's,
know it is, but rationally, but it's around
yeah.
wanting to be able to make more choices with that money and those sorts of things. But I mean, you've had some big changes in your life. As you said, you are an author. You've written Holy Cow. You've worked with ABC in various different roles.
Very high
And
profile roles for you,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And I feel like you're a very familiar voice for a lot of our listeners as well, because we've all grown up with you, from, as I said at the beginning, from Triple J, and then onto ABC Sydney and evenings. So kind of, they're really big changes. To give up all of that and to sort of go, all right, I mean, some of those changes were foisted upon you, some of those changes you decided. How do you deal with all of that change? Like,
Well, I'm actually pretty good at change.
Mhm.
I am a Gemini, so I like constant change. I get bored easily. I get bored when I'm stuck in a rut. And sometimes when things are going swimmingly in my life, I'll just stuff something up to make it a bit more interesting. So I'm actually okay with it. There's other elements of it that I'm not okay with that I won't go into.
Yeah, sure.
But, there's middle-age rage at this stage. But I guess I'm good at turning the other page in other ways. And I try to kind of always see the good in things. And as I've been kind of reassessing just how hard I have worked
Mhm.
and whether I gave too much, it's kind of been a very interesting time to do that. And as I said, things get really out of kilter, they get really out of balance, and things had been getting out of balance. So I'm just okay at trying new things, working out what I want to do yet, not rushing into that. And that's why I said I'm having a year of play.
Mm.
I'm not hustling. I'm taking opportunities when they come to me. I'm saying yes a lot. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, why not? Yes, why not? Yes, why not? And so I'm making use of this time to play and have fun and work out what's next and not rushing myself. And that is not like me. I'm good at change, but I'm not good at slowing down in life. And so I'm trying to kind of seeing this as opportunity to just go a little bit more with care and consideration and follow a few little sniffs and not run at things like a bull in a gate.
Mm. I'm on that sort of topic of your career as well and change. I just think as someone that's worked in the media, in traditional media for many years, and I think in the Agehood podcast that you did, so fascinating. The interview talked about, you earned some good money from writing back in the day, and now you're in this era, and the media landscape has changed so much. And and Kathy and I have
Mm.
dabbled in media as well. I used to work in media, but what are your thoughts on the future of media? Where do you imagine yourself in all these playing kind of roles, where you might land in a year's time? And, how do you see yourself fitting into this new world we live in media wise?
I mean, sometimes it's hard to not see that traditional media is dying.
Mm.
It's shrunk. And when you get a lot, it's like this pool that is shrinking, right? In a jungle. And so a lot of the animals within it are pretty thirsty. And the big ones pushing at each other out of the water hole. And it's getting kind of brutal and ugly in there.
Mm.
That is sad in a way, but things move on. I think it's really transforming, but I also have, I'm excited by what young people are doing in this space and the directions they're taking it. And I think they've got a lot to offer, and I'm kind of okay to seed them the space too. They excite me and they're good. And maybe I'm over the media. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm over some sorts of media. I'm
Mhm.
not over storytelling. I'm
Yep.
not over podcasts. I'm not over writing. I'm not over trying to make sense of this weird and wonderful world with other people. But
Mm.
how I do that is what I'm looking at now. But I think it is a shame that there's not um, a critical mass of people still really being across what's going on. I mean, you look at America at the moment,
Mm.
and a lot of people are just reading what they want to read that agrees with their worldview. They're just listening. And this is how conspiracy theories and lies flourish and how democracy dies. So, all of that stuff really, really, really concerns me. Don't get me wrong.
Mm.
I'm very worried about that. And I still um, make sure that I read good media that I trust, because you have to be a citizen of the world and you have to participate in democracy.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think your comment around storytelling is so valuable. If we think of our own First Nation people, their history is through storytelling. Like that is their lived history, and their lived experience is through those stories and passing those stories from generation to generation. And that's why we have, access to the Dreamtime stories and all of that, because storytelling is just so crucial for humankind. And I think if we lose that, that will be, that will be really sad if we lose that actual storytelling. I mean, we can use AI to churn out whatever we want it to, but it can't give us the real stories. It can't give us the nuance. It can't give us the grey area.
Yeah, that's so true. And look, I read something about people are not reading anymore, and a lot of people haven't read a book this year, and that
Oh,
saddens me greatly because it's a source of great sustenance for me and entertainment, and it's really important to me. But oral storytelling, like with Indigenous Australians and through dance and song and song lines and all of that, will always go. And that's the one thing AI can't take away with
no.
it from it. Because I've done some training of young people in terms of how to present to rooms and how to present on camera, and I'm really enjoying doing that at the moment. And they can't learn that from AI.
No.
They can learn speech, but it can't get them to stand up in front of it
And be confident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's hard. That's something that you have to learn in life. And we all have that inner cringe. Their generation, my generation, your generation, everybody does. But I hope that that's one thing that AI, well, I don't think it can take away, but we've got to keep doing stuff or our brains will turn to mush if it learns to think for us.
Yeah. And you're doing a bit of a speaking tour as well at the moment, aren't you?
I've done a bit of public speaking. I train people in public speaking. I'm doing some bit of ambassador work with the Violet organisation around us starting to think about what's coming down the track with an ageing society. I'm doing a bit of teaching and a bit
And
of
were you
media.
doing something with Simon as well? Did I hear that on the Lindsay interview? Was it Lindsay that you mentioned?
No, we were joking. We were
were
like,
you?
Simon,
I was so excited.
Simon had hip surgery.
Oh,
He made me take over a emceeing gig he had that night. And so he was like, I can't get out of bed, I'm on drugs. And so he basically, I was a stand-in for someone who couldn't stand anymore. So we're still in contact. I mean, a lot of people have said we should all do something together. I mean, we're kind of all working out what we really want to do because we want to do it and why. And so there's lots of really interesting ideas in our head, but I'm just trying to try lots of things to see what really sings to me, I guess. And sometimes you don't know until you give things a whirl, and you don't have many opportunities in life to do that.
no. Yeah. It's important to really take those moments to be able to sit back and, as you say, listen to what sings and, say yes because it's an enthusiastic yes, not a yes, I have to. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And do you want a bit of a scoop on something?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Something crazy that I've done with a friend. We've written a musical. So what?
What's it called? Or what's the working title?
What's the working
I'm not
title?
revealing that yet because I've just given you the scoop on the musical. But
Premise?
she turned up the night I got axed from the ABC with a giant Toblerone and a bottle of tequila and said, "Girlfriend, we're writing a musical." And I went, "Well, why the fuck not?"
Absolutely.
I am not musical. And I don't understand music, but that's her department. But the book and the story and all that sort of stuff, because I love a bloody good musical.
Who doesn't?
Like a musical, right? Like, don't you just wish you could be walking down the street and all of a sudden people start dancing in unison?
Yes, I do.
Yes, well, definitely looking forward to seeing that when it comes out.
Can you reveal a theme, a rough theme or not?
No, I'm not telling you. Oh, just okay, rough theme. Women and girls.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
And men.
And men. I guess we have to include the men, right? Like we kind of, without them, we still need them a bit.
Good blokes in there too.
Yeah, good blokes. We all need good blokes in our lives.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you've got mum's recently moved into the higher level nursing care from independent care living. And you said your husband's mum is at home, so he's caring for her. Who's caring for you?
Oh gosh, what a good question. And it is one I sometimes ask myself. And I haven't been caring for me for the last few years. And that's really, I went to the gym this morning And well, I was listening to your podcast about the lovely doctor, and she was talking about doing weights and stuff. I was like, all right, okay, I'm going to do more weights. Okay, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do more weights. And I I just thought, yeah, I haven't looked after myself properly. I think it is almost impossible to eat well, exercise well, work hard, be there for your children and aged parents, and to be there for yourself. Like something always has to give. And what
Yep.
gives? Well, yeah, it's usually yourself. Yeah, of
Yep.
course it is. Of course it
And
is.
you're probably like us as well, also there for your husband, like, propping them up and making sure that they're eating well and caring for themselves and taking time out. But yeah, I put myself at the bottom of every list, although I am back at work after 2 weeks of taking time off for myself. I actually put my hand up and said, I can't do this. I need 2 weeks off. And yeah, well, I was originally having a week off and then I went to the GP and she was like, so I've never seen a burnout score this high. And I was like, oh, well, so what's the number? And she said 42. And I was like, oh, okay. Out of
What's that of?
42.
Oh,
42.
you got top marks.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
congratulations,
I know.
100% there, Kathy.
I
Yeah.
know. Overachiever.
Winning
She's
at
like,
burnout.
winning at burnout. And she was like, so you're having another week off? I was like, oh, okay. All right. Suppose. I guess. Yeah. So, yeah, I hear you on and I know Laura is just equally as poor at putting herself at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Burnout is real, right? I mean, I've got to say, my bloke does a lot of the cooking at home, and I think he burns out even higher than I do. He puts even more pressure on himself. I can kind of go to bed with a glass of wine and Netflix. He would never do that.
Yep.
But no, I now realize that that's not very healthy either and must be done in minimum levels. And interestingly, I'm doing less of that now that I have a bit more of a balance in my life this year than I did last year because I would just come home exhausted and that's what I do. So burnout is huge
Yep.
and so many people are burning out and fried and we're just being put through the sausage machine. And, but kind of, no amounts of self-care and crystals and meditation is enough for that. Society's got a role to play here, and we just can't
100%.
stop treating people like disposable objects that we can just use up and chew out and spit out the other end of.
And I think, yeah, absolutely. It comes back to a little what you were saying before as well, Sarah, about, this part being over 50 and suddenly being considered kind of washed up and getting out the workforce or being discarded. And I think that's a lot of life left to live. But also, there is part of life, it's so considered unsexy or something, we're such a youth-centric culture. And I just feel like the young people, not all young people, but look ahead to this stage of life and no one wants to talk about it, no one wants to think about it because it's kind of this like ick for them. And I don't know how we have a massive rebrand of aging. And I know we're trying, Gen X is trying, but until they're in it, and I know I read something recently that millennials are relaunching 40 and it's more fabulous than ever. And I thought, I'm sorry, but Gen X has relaunched 40. I'm sorry. Every generation thinks they're like going to relaunch something again. But it's so hard to make people think about this phase of life when you are 25. Why would you want to think about superannuation or all these very unsexy things that don't, do so well on TikTok or whatnot? But it's so hard. I don't know. Like it is a big, major societal issue, and we do need to talk more about it. But sometimes it just feels like it's all the 50-year-old women talking at each other. Like what about the other people? What about the men? What about the young people? How do we engage them in this discussion that's so important?
Don't you think there's what I find really interesting is that it's kind of cool to be really old at the moment, or like Iris Apfel thing, like legend, so cool, God, loved her myself, right?
Cute. Yeah.
So over 100, so cool, style crone, all those cool girls, Jane Fonda, who's, a bloody legend, right? That's cool.
Yes.
But it's not cool to be in the middle. And
No,
I think it comes and every generation reinvents parenting and every generation reinvents middle age and every generation reinvents aging. And we have to do that, I suppose, because that's kind of everybody does things really differently, but you don't think you've discovered it, right? Done before. And I don't know how we change it. I don't know how we stop talking to ourselves because young people aren't interested in it.
No,
And I
no.
wasn't either. I thought superannuation was the most boring thing in the bloody world when I was in my teens. And I just was like, shut up. I want to have fun with this money now. Don't make me do that boring stuff. And if it wasn't for Paul Keating, we wouldn't have done it at all.
No.
Because humans are incapable of thinking that far ahead. I
Yeah.
don't know. We have some blockages. And I'm just writing something now. I think the baby boomers are going to have to reinvent how we think about aging because they're coming to it. And when they do, it's going to be a huge issue.
Mm.
So how do we talk about how do different generations get better at this? I don't know how we do it differently because no one ever wants to think about it. No one ever wants to face this reality. It's like childbirth. Why didn't someone tell me it would be like this? Yeah, they did. You weren't listening,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. It's until you're there that you start listening. Yeah.
But maybe that's the fun of discovery and doing things differently is you come to it without preconceived ideas about what you're going to do. But you have to, like the boomers have redefined so much in terms of being what young is. Now they need to redefine what being old is. And we're coming up behind them as a Generation X. I'm looking to them to do that. I know a lot of people mock the boomers, and I think, no, you've done some really interesting things, and I admire you for it. So lead the way, guys, because we've got to do this differently. Because we're aging, people have this wonderful privilege of getting older, and if AI is going to, back to AI, if it is going to cure cancer and it is going to reduce and extend our lives even longer, well, what does a good life look like? What does it feel like? And if the workplace don't want us, as this Human Rights Report found in the 50s, and consider us old, then what is 50 to 80 look like? You need our labor. You're going to...
Yes,
They
you
can't
need us.
they literally can't run the country on the taxes of the under 50s. So they still need us.
And there's intergenerational theft going on for young people, right?
Yeah.
Like I get that. And so they can't be expected to just do all that work.
Although a report came out yesterday, I didn't fully read it, but the takeaway for me was the Gen Xers, we've had it the toughest. Just quietly, that was the report out of like the latest research and the stats and everything. Between like my parents are boomers, my dad was 1946, so he is exactly a boomer, and my mum's at the tail end of boomers. And so the boomers, compared to the silent generation who also went through like the depression and the wars and all the things, and compared to millennials and Gen Zs who we all know getting into housing and all of those things, but Gen Xers, we did it the toughest apparently, like for across the board, and they, statistically averaged everything. And so, but I'm kind of excited, I've got to say, because I've got back to when you were talking about your little micro trips and things. I've got a micro trip coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So I had, some mental health leave that was unplanned, but I have a planned holiday. And my husband's just remembered that he still has access to some staff travel. So, yeah, I know. So we are taking a trip. We are leaving the kids at home, and we're going to Singapore and we have nothing booked because we can't book anything until we know we're on the plane. So when we know we're on the plane, then we'll book holiday, like we'll book accommodation. And so I'm excited about being able to do that. And I think that's the rebrand, right, Laura, that you talk about. Like as you get to our age, your kids are a little bit younger than Sarah's and mine. But once you get to your kids being in that kind of, older teens, early 20s, they're kind of off your hands a bit. And you do have a bit more choice. You can take those micro trips to micro retirements. Isn't that what they're calling them?
Did you like that?
Yeah,
maybe
I know.
I'm having a micro retirement. That is good.
Yeah.
And what about spontaneity, Kathy?
Yeah.
Like because and Laura's probably like, oh, great, thanks, spontaneity. Can't do that right. Young kids.
It's coming.
And I can't that much with my mum either. But just being spontaneous and going, why not?
Yeah.
Like it's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, in saying that I worry about my parents too. And it's like, I would love to go and live overseas, but they're at that point now where I don't want to leave them for too long. Just in case something happens. Mum recently was in hospital because she got bitten by a spider. But that was so worrying. And you kind of just go, oh my goodness, like, what if, you go to that what if place. And yeah, so but it's exciting too, because we're at that other end where we have a bit more choice. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not all. No,
it's not
No,
all bad.
I heard Shirley Manson from Garbage,
love
who,
her.
yeah, love her, right? And so she's saying, when I grow up, right?
Yeah.
There she is. She's just had 2 hip replacements, one from falling off the stage, God love her, rock and roll.
Yeah.
But she said recently, I heard an interview with her and Dylan on Double J, who I did recovery
Yep.
with all years ago, didn't kind of follow her down this path because he's younger. But she just said, I'm loving middle age. I'm feeling
Mm.
freedom I never thought I'd feel.
Mm.
She's my age. She said, oh, there's just a great freedom here. And I'm like, oh, I'm leaning in. I want more of Shirley Manson
Yeah.
redefined
We need
freedom.
more. Yeah.
Yes,
Great.
go
Yeah.
girl, right?
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's the thing, and that's what I'm trying to say, like it is freeing once your kids are that little bit older and you can just kind of step away, even if it's for 2 weeks, but you're not going too far, and you know that if anything happens, you can get on a plane, you can get home. But I think COVID certainly changed a lot for a lot of people. You don't want to pack up and go overseas for extended periods of time in case you get stuck over there or something like that. Because, yeah. So, well, we've kept
Everyone's
you.
having hot girl summer, and to me, Europe just looks completely trampled at the moment with thousands of people. So,
Oh, I'm
Oh,
not
God,
doing.
it does.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to do a hot girl summer. I think I'll do maybe a
Singapore
midlife
sling.
woman
Yeah.
autumn in summer one time. Yeah, oh, sorry, in Europe. You know what I mean? Like a autumn
Out
or
of
spring,
season.
out of
Yeah.
season, when all the young people who are Instagrammable are not there. We've kept you for ages, Sarah, and I could talk to you all day. But
Yeah.
our
Thank you.
podcast is called The Change. In part,
Mm.
it's a play on that midlife experiences of all women and perimenopause and menopause. And, what are your feelings towards that? Like, where are without getting too personal, where are you at? What do you feel about perimenopause or menopause, and the change?
Yeah, I mean, to me, this sounds terrible. It's like people saying, oh, I had a natural childbirth and it didn't hurt at all. The process of perimenopause hasn't been too bad for me. I haven't had the horrific, I mean, my body temperature is definitely higher, but I haven't had the terrible hot sweats or something like that. I don't feel I've kind of had the extreme mood swings that some people talk about, although my family may disagree with that. I have felt some of the kind of rage at times that
Mm,
people talk about, but I think it's a kind of gift that keeps on giving. So maybe it'll be a question that'll be easy to answer down the track and further down the track. I kind of, I know a lot of people mourn the fact, a lot of women, that people don't notice them anymore, that they're invisible because they're older, they're dismissed. I think that that's true, but I think that's also kind of liberating, and it's now my superpower. So I'm just going to start listening into conversations when people are completely ignoring me and not serving me, and find out all sorts of things about people. To me, I don't care in a way.
mm,
Maybe I'm kind of starting to get to a stage where I've just got no fucks left to give, and I'm not sure I really care that I'm invisible. Maybe that's fine. Maybe I don't want to be visible. Like, we look at how judgy people are and how
mm,
cruel they can be to each other in some spheres. Maybe I don't want a big part of that. So I'm doing all right on that front. But I've got a lot of friends we've deconstructed this over the years, and we've all kind of gone through different phases in many different ways. And yeah, I don't know, maybe if you kind of, I like to think that if you had terribly awful, painful periods when you were young, then the menopause is better,
mhm.
right?
Mm.
I'm hoping that's you kind of like one end or the other is
Mm.
better. So
Yep,
maybe that's why. Maybe it's a bit
maybe.
of karma that I went through terrible, yeah, awful period pain when I was younger. Dreadful, dreadful, dreadful.
Yeah. You've
And
done your time. Mm.
yeah, I've done my time, thank you very much. But I don't know if the universe works in that way, and if Goddess really allows for that reasoning. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say, being invisible and how freeing that can be. I mean, that was something I also wrote about, and I felt terrible at the time. I didn't feel great at all. But I did later find out that ASIO, like the spy agency, they
Yeah.
actually recruit women in our age bracket because we're so invisible, right? Like, so no one notices us. So we're
You're
great
correct.
guys
Mm.
because no one
Mm.
notices midlife people, and they can just kind of go, oh, what are you talking
And,
about? Oh, what are
and
you
there's the
talking about?
travel. There's the travel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
There it is. We could just sort of sit there like you're not really going to Singapore for a holiday. You're going to be sitting in the corner listening to conversations as a high-level spy. And there it is. That's the kind
Look, I
the
think that's
power
the
of our
rebrand, right? Like,
invisibility.
that is the rebrand.
Yeah.
We need to get onto ASIO, help them with their rebrand, and,
With spies.
why
Wow.
not?
If
Why
not, it
not?
can always be content for a new book. I mean, it's all good, interesting listening, isn't it?
The only thing I would be good at is keeping the secrets.
You need to keep the secrets.
If you tell me it's a secret, I'm to the grave. But
Yeah.
I suppose I'd just have to know that everything is a secret.
Yeah.
And I need to learn some other languages really quickly.
Yeah, that might be helpful. Yeah.
Google Translate. It's all good.
Yeah. But lurking in invisibility, I'm your girl.
Yeah. I think as Laura said, it's content for another book or for another musical or, yeah.
Yes, we watched The Space with the musical.
Oh,
Well,
can't
gosh,
wait.
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Sarah, for
Look, it
coming
may
on.
not go anywhere. As I said, it's all about playing. And I don't even think if things have to have an outcome right now for me, it's just all about that playing in that space and trying new things and trying not to kind of put the inner cringe on too much and just the joy of discovery and keeping things open.
That's awesome. What a perfect way to end. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All the best to both of you. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Laura.
Wow, what a chat. Yeah, I mean, I spent most of that whole time fangirling because she's a Gen X icon for me, and I grew up with Sarah, listening to Sarah on the radio. But there's a lot there. She's done a lot.
Yeah, she's done so much, and just hearing her speak about her life and also what she's juggling currently. We didn't go into talking about when her father passed away, when her kids were little, and we didn't go into that part of her kind of caring aspect, but the full experience she's having as the sandwich generation right now, looking after adult kids. She's got nieces and nephews popping in. That spare bedroom is never empty. And then, of course, her 90-something-year-old mum who's living locally, and all that, the things that means, like, her not being able to fulfill some of her travel dreams. And it's hard, isn't it? And, work and the stresses that places on her, and her trying to do the little bits and bobs that she's talking about, which also sounds very cool. But yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? She's doing a lot, is Sarah.
She is doing a lot. And I think it's a lot like the conversation that we had with Claire a few weeks ago. The lot that she's doing is the silent mental load that we're not really talking about. And I think as a society, we're going to have to get real about that conversation about who's going to look after our aging parents. Like there's just not going to be enough care in the community
available. That's right.
So what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to do this? And, are we giving up work again? Like, I gave up work and Sarah gave up work. Sarah didn't work, she said, when her kids were little. I was the same. Am I going to have to bookend my career with doing that again? And they're hard conversations because nobody really wants to think about getting old, and nobody wants to think about getting frail. But also, I think Sarah is talking about the privilege it is to be with our aging parents as well. So yeah,
it's so hard, and midlife is such a squeeze, and yet Sarah is finding time for a musical. We got the exclusive on that.
Wait.
How good's that? I mean, yeah.
We don't know what it's called, and we know very little details, but we get the scoop on that.
Yeah, but we're pumped to see it because it sounds amazing. And if she's written it, it's going to be funny and insightful, and we'll love it. So we can't wait to see that. But yeah, she's And even just that talking about what it means to be in midlife and how she's trying to look after herself a little bit. That was a great question you asked her about that. And I thought, yeah, she's just like the rest of us, juggling and trying not to drink too much or watch too much Netflix, but trying to get to gym and all the things that we are told we're supposed to do. And it's really, really impossible to do those things. So yeah, it's tricky and it's hard to do it. Yeah, but she's trying. Yeah, and she's an icon.
She sure is. And it's a great chat and one not to be missed.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Change, a fully independent podcast. Whether you're seeking inspiration, curious about change, or just here for the great banter, we'd love you to make The Change your new go-to podcast.
And even better, send us your voice notes or questions about change. We'll use them on the show. Email us at changepod2023@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at _change_pod. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram for more on The Change.